And Jalen and Ish, I really appreciate you guys hanging out today. I'm not sure if we talked to you pretty much since the season ended, so I was kind of curious. I wanted to start there. I remember the first time I talked to Coach Capel during the offseason was my question to him. I'm curious with both of you guys, you know, if you could roll the clock back to last March, last April, or whenever it was last March, on Selection Sunday, like, what was that day like for you guys? Had you sort of accepted, oh, probably not going to make it? Were you watching? Were you nervous? I mean, what was what do you remember from that day back in March, I guess?
It was a lot of mixed emotions, honestly. Just it not being in our hands. We really didn't have any control over it at the time we were watching. So it was just a lot of mixed emotions on the edge of our seats. But when we didn't get selected, it's obviously a bad feeling, and that feeling is still a thing for us, and we're just using that as motivation right now.
Yeah, I mean, looking back to it, I would say we during the ACC tournament every night we go to each other's rooms, watch the game, see what happened. Um, None of it really worked in our favor, so you know we all just kind of gathered around. Was iffy in the air. The bus drive back to Pittsburgh was quiet. We got here, saw that people were saying that we should be in, getting our hopes up a little bit, trying to keep it optimistic, but still being realistic about the situation. Then time came, uh, mood just wasn't there. You can kind of tell how it was gonna go. Happen. Everybody was pretty down about it, pretty mad, emotional. So, I mean, it wasn't a good feeling at all. But like I said, we're using it as motivation this year.
Sure. Did you guys, as you watch the tournament, you watch what NC State does? Are you watching that like, man, we beat them? We were better than them last year, and they went on that run. Did you kind of feel like, that should have been us? We should have been on that kind of a run.
I don't think it was just like we should have been on that run. It was just more like as a conference, people don't give us enough credit for what we do. And that, I mean, you've got a team like NC State, you know, and the rest of the ACC teams in the tournament that did really good. I mean, it just shows how good of a conference we were, and we were just really proud of each team. We were rooting for each team to go further and further, but in the back of our heads, it was just like, yeah, I mean, like, what if we were in this too? We could have definitely made a huge run also, but we were just really proud of every ACC team.
Sure. Ish, I mean, I feel like the big thing people talked about, was resume and strength of schedule and stuff like that. I mean, is that something that's on your radar at all? I mean, we all look at the schedule and analyze it and everything. And I mean, is that something you even think about? Like, I wonder what our strength of schedule's like or anything like that?
The coaches spend a lot of time with that, especially Coach K putting up a schedule non-conference. This year, that was kind of one of our main emphases, just getting out there playing the best of the best early, so we can establish ourselves as one of the best teams in the country early. Last year, that's what they leaned on, and that's the reason we didn't make the tournament. But this year, we got heavy hitters, and we're just trying to stack as many wins as possible. Honestly, the more wins and the least amount of losses that we can provide is our goal. So as long as we take care of that, then the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, Jalen, I feel like the big addition this year to the schedule is going to Ohio State, that game out there. That's not something you guys really do very often. Obviously, you go on the road to play West Virginia, you go on the road in the ACC, but when you play teams in the non-conference, it's usually, one of these neutral courts, tournaments and stuff like that. Are you excited to sort of see a new place, be in a new kind of building, a new enemy crowd you haven't seen before?
Yeah,
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'm super excited about it. Ohio State's a really good team, really good program, something new for this program. So, just getting out there early, playing with the top programs in the country, I'm super excited for it.
Yeah. All right. I wanted to ask both of you guys about leadership because I feel like your names come up a lot when we talk about leadership. And Jalen, when we talked to Jeff probably a week or two ago, he said that we were asking him about you and about being a leader, and he said one thing I thought was interesting. He said, "I think Jalen's aware of his status on the team. What's your status on the team? What do you think? Your position is on the team. What do you think Jeff sees your position as on the team?"
I think my basically my status this year is just being somebody that's relied on more in tougher situations. They expect more out of me, everybody, and I mean that's what I signed up for. That's what I want. So it's nothing that's too much on my plate. It's just me being more vocal, being a leader out there, showing guys, what should be done, how to do it, things like that. So, I'm getting more comfortable in just because it's just what I got to do this year and it's what my teammates expect out of me.
And then Ish, I mean, obviously you're a veteran guy. You played a lot. How would you describe yourself as a leader? Like, what's your style? What's your leadership style? If you can put your finger on it.
I think my leadership style is I just go out there, go as hard as I can, and then um, edge my teammates to challenge them to be their best. I've been working on being more of a vocal leader. I'm more of a lead by example leader just naturally, and the vocal piece is coming along well. It's just a work in progress, honestly. Each and every day, just getting outside of my comfort zone, just using my voice as much as possible. But my leadership style, just in general, is just lead by example type.
All right, now I'll flip it around, Jalen. I want to ask you about Ish. Like, how does he lead you guys? Like, how does he? What do you see him doing with? He said he's trying to be more vocal. I mean, what do you see him doing as a leader with the team and in the locker room?
I mean, now um, he's definitely become more vocal, but he's always been that guy that we've seen that he's leading by example. That when things are getting a little rough, you can count on Ish to go show what's supposed to be right and things like that. You can always count on him, and I think that's a leader in itself, just being able to be accountable and things like that. But from this standpoint, from this year, he's definitely been a lot more vocal, which helps us and allows us to be more confident and more comfortable in the court because this is a guy we look at a lot too. So having him in the position where he is now is helping us tremendously.
All right, and then Ish, kind of the same thing about Jalen. I mean, he's a sophomore now. You saw him kind of grow up last year in his role. What's his style? You know what I mean? How is he leading guys this year?
I think Lowe's doing a great job of leading guys. His vocal, like I hear him a lot, and I love that I hear him a lot because he's our point guard. Like I have to hear him. I want to hear him all the time if I could. Uh, just letting us know what's wrong, what's right, what he sees from the point guard position. Just letting us know where to be, what he saw. And I enjoy our back and forth just because it translates into the chemistry on the court. And he's doing a great job leading, and I can't wait to see him rock out this season.
For both of you guys, I mean, obviously you're going to be different on the court without Bub and Blake, and Fetty for that matter. But I mean, Bub and Blake in particular, you're going to be different on the court. How is the locker room different without those two guys? I'm sure Blake is a big presence, right? You take Blake out of any situation, it's going to change things considerably. But how is the locker room different this year than it was last year when you had those guys?
I don't really think it's been too much of a drop off. Blake and Bub, they provided a lot of funny moments and joyous moments in the locker room, but I still feel like we have that this year. It's a little different because Blake was a guy that was here prior to any of us really coming in, and he was that leader from the jump. So, we have to rely on like me and Ish now, guys that were a little bit newer last year. But we're going to miss those guys tremendously just because of the presence they had on and off the court. But I don't think we really missed a beat too much in trying to, really connect that and really try and build up from what we had last year into this year.
Yeah. Ish, was Blake the funniest guy on the team last year? I mean, to us in the press conferences, he was the
Yeah,
funniest guy on the
B2
team.
was definitely one of the funniest. B2 is definitely one of the funniest, but we had a lot of guys who just hysterical, in my opinion. We had a lot of guys who made me laugh each and every day.
Are the twins funny? Like the twins crack me up when they come into like press conferences. Are they funny in the locker room? Do they make jokes?
Hilarious.
They're funny, man.
In their own way, hilarious.
Yeah, in their own way. That's probably a good way to put it. All right. So you guys have some new faces. I mean, it's always going to be the case. You're always going to have new transfers and guys coming in. I wanted to get you guys your take on a few of the guys who joined the team this year. We'll start with Amsal. I know he's hurt. He's out a little bit, but what's been your impression of being around him on and off the court so far from both of you guys?
I'd say just a different brand of basketball. Like he understands the game at a high level. His pace, nobody can really speed him up. He's always making the right play, and he's a great addition to this team. Just a different style of play, and it's unique.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Amzor, he can pass the ball at a really high level. He sees the court um, greatly, and that just shows the brand of basketball that he's provided to us now. Just coming from where he came from, he can really shoot the ball, and he's one of those taller guards, so that'll be able to help us when he's back. Having a taller guard, being able to handle and do a little bit of everything. It's kind of new. A lot of teams don't see that as much. So he's one of those Swiss Army guys.
All right, you guys played against Cam Corrin last year. He had like 25 points or something like that. Now he's on your team. What's he brought? What's been your impression of him?
I think his paint presence is recognized wherever he is. Like he really holds down the paint area on offense and defense. Very physical, extended his range, can knock down the mid range, can knock down the pick and pop, and it's just so many threats that he brings to a team's defense. It's going to be hard to guard this year.
Yeah, Cam's one of those guys that you hate playing against, but that you love having on your team. So having him on our team now is great. Like Ish said, paint presence, real strong. He'll let it be known where he's at on the court. Real athletic, so he can shoot. So having that aspect of having that guy ball into and
Yeah.
throwing the ball into and rely on to get a bucket every now and then is really good for us to have because he can do that. And I've an aspect of his game that I don't think people really recognize as much is his shooting ability now. So I hope people will see that this year because he'll definitely show it a lot.
You guys both like to drive. I mean, you both like to attack at the hoop. How much can having him in the paint around the basket, how much can that help you? How does that change things for you when you're looking to drive?
I mean, I think it changes things a lot because it's not something that teams have seen out of us in the past 2 years. So having that paint presence really opens things up for everybody else. And I think we're a really good shooting team. I think we're probably one of the best shooting teams in the country. So having Cam be that inside presence will definitely help everybody else.
What about flipping to guards now? I mean, you brought in Damian Dunn, guy who's got a ton of experience. How's he meshed with your group of guards, and what have been your impressions of him so far?
You said who was this?
Damian, yeah.
Yep, Dame's an older guard. I love Dame's game. Nobody can speed him up. Back to the basket, he's lethal. He can really shoot the ball off the catch and off the dribble. And on defense, he just gets after you. Like nobody wants somebody really pressuring them all game. And I feel like Dame is that strong guard who can really defend and steal it and then go and then push the pace of the offense. So I love Dame's game, and I can't wait to play with him this year.
Yeah, I mean, like I said again, like Dame's one of those guys that you love to have on your team because man, he's a force. He's definitely a force, and he's an older and a wiser guard. So having him will definitely bring a different aspect to the way me and Ish play the game because it's a little different. He can do everything, but then he also plays back to the basket a lot. He can post up smaller guards. He can guard bigger guys. So he'll be able to have just those intangibles that most guys don't have, which will definitely give us an edge over a lot of teams.
You guys feel like with the two of you and Dame and Brandon Cummings and Amsal even and maybe even like Zach as like a three, like you have a lot of combinations for what you can do in the backcourt and on the perimeter this year, maybe even more than you had last year?
A lot. Yeah, we can mix and match. We can do a lot of things with rotations. A lot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just the combinations that we can play with this year, it can just give teams so many different looks that they probably won't be able to get used to. So we're definitely going to use that to our advantage.
You got so much scoring out of Blake last year with the 3-point shots. I think you guys have a lot of shooters again this year, but how's it going to be different? How is this year's scoring going to look different than what last year's did?
I mean, in my opinion, it's just gonna, less bailouts. Blake bailed us out a lot last year, but it's just gonna be, a little more connectedness. We know our strengths and weaknesses, and we're gonna have to create for each other a little bit more than we did last year. And, we're getting, we're perfectly fine with that. We're, Guillermo's going to be playing the 4 a little bit more this year. So having different aspects and different guys to score in different ways is still going to be able to, keep up the same scoring pace we did last year. It's just going to look a little different, just having to create a little bit more for each other.
No,
I think we have just a lot of weapons. We have so many weapons on the offensive side of things. It's going to be hard for defenses to really scheme for 1 or 2 people. We have a whole roster full of guys who can make plays for themselves and for others. So I think more balanced and just a lot of weapons on the court for the defense to game plan against.
Sure. All right. Last thing, guys, I wanted to ask you about, just because the news just came out here late in the week about Tony Bennett, the Virginia coach, resigning. You guys saw the news. You're big ACC guys, of course. What'd you think when you saw that news? What's your reaction to a guy? He's 55 years old. It's 3 weeks before the season starts, and he's hanging it up. What'd you think when you saw that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was really surprising. I think Jorge sent it to the group chat, and we were just surprised. I mean, I didn't expect him to retire anything like that, but I hope everything is well with him. But it's at the end of the day, it was just like, wow, a historic coach is retiring, and that's unfortunate. But we wish the best for him because he's done a lot in his career and for those schools and where he's been at. So.
Yeah,
I just, happy for him, but yeah, I mean, it's tough to do it 3 weeks, but I hope that team's all right.
Ish, were you surprised? Was it shocking for you?
Definitely surprised. Like Lo said, hope everything's going well with him, his family, and everything. And it's a legend. Tony Bennett is a legend. So props to him for everything he did in his career, and we'll see them this season.
All right, guys. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking some time. It was great to catch up with you. Looking forward to the exhibition game on Tuesday, season opener in a couple of weeks. Have fun until then, and we will catch you at the Peterson Event Center soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.